The story begins in Sicily, Italy, where we see an old man and his grandson driving together. They arrive at a wine factory owned by the old man. His assistant is waiting for him outside the factory, so the old man warns his grandson not to leave the car until he comes back. The boy promises his grandfather that he will stay inside the car. The old man takes his gun from the car and enters the factory with his assistant. As they walk inside, they discover that a stranger has broken into the factory and killed almost all of his men, leaving only his assistant and 2 other guards alive. Those 2 men are now holding the stranger, waiting for the old factory owner to arrive. The old man is shocked by the number of dead bodies and wonders how one person managed to kill so many men. He enters the room where the professional killer is being held, and we discover that the man is Robert. He is sitting calmly on a chair even though 2 men are pointing their guns at his head. We learn that Robert came to Italy on a mission to recover money from the old man because his gang stole it. Robert tells him that he took money that did not belong to him and he came to return it to its real owner. Robert gives them 9 seconds to decide what they are going to do. The old man laughs at him for giving him only 9 seconds and challenges him to face them alone. But before he can order his men to kill him, Robert suddenly stands up, takes down the guards, and starts fighting. Robert manages to kill everyone in the room, including the old man, and then leaves the wine factory. He returns to the car and finds the old man's grandson still waiting there. Robert tells him to stay in the car, but the moment Robert turns his back, the boy surprises him and shoots him with a rifle. The bullet seriously injures Robert's leg, and the boy runs away. But Robert manages to fight through the pain, gets into his car, and drives away. He even puts the car on a ferry to cross to the other side. When he arrives in the coastal Italian city of Altoonte, Robert drives on the highway for a while, but because of his injury and the complications from the wound, his condition becomes worse and he can no longer continue driving. He stops the car on the road, and a local police officer named Gio finds him in that condition. Gio decides to help him and takes him in his car to save him. He takes Robert to a doctor named Enzo, who lives in the city and is loved by everyone. Enzo manages to remove the bullet from Robert's leg, performs surgery at his house, and saves his life. After about 3 days, Robert starts recovering, but he is still injured and needs a cane to walk. One day, Robert wants to go outside and walk around the city to learn about the people and their way of life. Enzo explains to him how to leave the house and which direction to take so he won't get lost. Robert then walks around the market for a while and finds a cafe owned by a woman named Mina. He sits there to have a drink, and while he is there, he sees Officer Gio, the man who saved him, arriving with his daughter, Gabby. They sit with Robert for a while, and Gio makes sure that Robert is doing better. After that, Gio gives Robert the keys to his car and tells him that he parked it near the police station in a safe place. He also tells him that he refused to search the car. Robert takes the keys and thanks him for everything he did, because without Gio's help, he would have died. But since Gio is a police officer and cares about the safety of the people in his town, he tells Robert that the people there are kind and peaceful, and they are not the type of people who look for trouble. Robert understands what Gio means, because when they found him injured by a gunshot, they thought he was involved in dangerous problems. So Robert promises him that no trouble will happen because of him. Gio thanks him, then takes his daughter and leaves. One day, Robert calls his client Emma, who works as an agent for the American Intelligence Agency, specifically in the department responsible for fighting smuggling and money laundering. When Robert contacts her, he tells her about a wine factory in Sicily, Italy, and explains that the factory is just a cover for another business, smuggling illegal chemical substances. The drugs are being transported inside wine boxes, but Emma is not interested in his report because this is not her department and she has nothing to do with drug trafficking. So Robert tells her that the factory also contains a huge amount of money. After that, Robert ends the call without telling her who he is. Emma is not sure if the information is real or fake, but she decides to investigate it as a real report. One day, Robert is eating at a restaurant and notices the owner giving his son an envelope full of money to deliver it to someone waiting outside. That person is named Marco. We learn that Marco is part of an Italian gang called the Camorra, and his older brother Vincent is the leader of the gang. Marco took the money from the restaurant owner as a protection fee. Every month, Marco forces business owners to pay him money, and everyone pays because they are afraid of him and Vincent. Robert realizes that Marco is extorting people, but he still wants to be sure first. Later, while Robert is walking to Enzo's house, he passes by a fish shop owned by a man named Angelo. He notices Marco's men standing outside the shop, so Robert understands that they are waiting for Marco, who is inside the shop. Robert realizes that Marco must be there to threaten Angelo and take his protection money. Robert stands outside the shop and hears Marco shouting at Angelo. Marco is beating him and pushing his head into the ice where the fish are stored because Angelo does not have enough money to pay him. Marco threatens Angelo, telling him that he will come back again and that he better prepare the money or he knows what will happen to him. After that, Marco leaves the shop and sees Robert standing outside watching him. Marco thinks Robert is just a curious stranger, so he ignores him, takes his men, and leaves. Marco and his men then go to the place where Vincent is. Vincent's men are standing outside a building, and Vincent is there trying to force the owner of the building to sign a contract selling the entire property because he wants to destroy it and build a hotel instead. But the woman refuses to sell. Vincent gets angry and notices that inside her house there is an old man, her father, sitting in a wheelchair. Before leaving, Vincent orders his men to kill the old man. When Vincent walks out of the building, he finds Marco waiting for him. They hug, and Marco advises Vincent to collect money from people without using too much violence or causing problems. But suddenly, they see the old woman's father being thrown from the balcony. His daughter starts screaming and crying. Vincent gets into his car and leaves, while his men follow behind him like a powerful convoy. At the same time, we return to Robert, who is sitting with Enzo. Enzo wants to go buy some food for lunch, but Robert tells him to rest and says he will go instead. Robert knows that Enzo loves fish, so he goes to Angelo's fish shop and buys some fish. Angelo refuses to take money from Robert and tells him that since Robert is Enzo's guest, he is also his guest. Robert thanks him and realizes that Angelo is a kind and generous man. He takes the fish and returns to Enzo's house. We then go to Agent Emma, who is with another agent named Frank. They discover the location of the wine factory in Sicily, Italy, using satellite surveillance. They travel there with the Italian police and raid the factory. When they enter, they find many dead bodies. Of course, these are the people Robert killed in the beginning. They discover that all the security cameras in the factory were turned off, so unfortunately, they did not record anything that happened. Emma and Frank believe that whoever did this was a group of highly trained professionals, not knowing that Robert was the only one responsible. They also discover that the factory was actually producing illegal chemical substances and smuggling them by hiding them inside secret compartments in wine bottles. They find a large amount of money worth $11 million, but they notice that $366,000 are missing. Emma explains that she will take the money because it is illegal money and could be connected to money laundering, so Emma and Frank confiscate all the cash to hand it over to the American Intelligence Agency. After that, we go to Vincent, who is outside with his men. He meets his brother Marco and asks him to help him because they are preparing a huge operation to smuggle illegal substances through the port of Sicily. Vincent then gives Marco the opposite advice from before. Earlier, he told him not to use violence and avoid causing problems, but this time he tells him that he needs to become violent and control the city with an iron fist so people will fear them. That same night, Marco follows his brother's advice and decides to become more aggressive. The first thing he does is go with his men to the city market and burn down Angelo's fish shop. All the people in the city rush to the fire in shock, especially Angelo and his wife, who start crying because the shop was their only source of income. Robert is standing among the people and feels sad for them just like everyone else. Then Robert notices Marco and his men standing in the street watching the fire from a distance and enjoying what they did. Meanwhile, at the city police station, Gio is reviewing the security cameras to find out who burned Angelo's shop. He notices a black car leaving from in front of the shop right after the fire started. Someone with an unclear face gets into the car, but Gio manages to identify the vehicle's license plate number. He immediately calls a police officer who works in traffic control and gives him the plate number to find out who owns the car. At night, we go to Robert, who is sitting at Mina's cafe. Mina starts talking with him and asks who used to cook his meals when he was living in America, because she knows that Robert lives alone. Robert tells her that he used to cook for himself, so Mina offers to take him with her and let him try the famous traditional food that the city of Altoonte is known for. Robert agrees and goes with her to an open place where they have many delicious local dishes. Robert is genuinely happy from his heart, and day after day, he starts feeling like he has become one of the city's people. He also becomes loved by everyone, and his injury completely heals, so he no longer needs the cane he was using to walk. One day, Robert is sitting at Mina's cafe when he notices Agent Emma sitting in front of him. She tries to secretly take a picture of him with her phone, but Robert notices her from the beginning. Since she is the daughter of one of his closest friends, Robert already knows what she looks like. He tells her that if she wants to take his picture, he needs to fix his face first and smile for her. Emma asks him if he was at the wine factory and if he was the one who killed everyone there. But Robert tells her that he is only a witness and that he does not know more than what he already told her. Emma asks him what he does for a living. Robert tells her that he is retired, without revealing that he used to work as a special operations agent before retiring. Emma then tells him that she could take him with her to the intelligence agency and interrogate him by force. But Robert tells her that she cannot do that without a court order. He also tells her there is another option. She could take him to a secret location and attack him there. Emma says she would never do that, then asks Robert if he can guess how she managed to find him. Robert explains that she followed the usual investigation methods. First, she tracked him through the satellite after his previous call to her by tracing his phone. Second, she came to Italy, reached the city, checked the street surveillance cameras, and managed to identify him. Emma is impressed by Robert's intelligence and his accurate knowledge of their work and methods. She asks him one final question. How did he get the phone number she uses at the agency? Robert tells her that he found it in a black phone address book that he had. Emma then asks him to stay in the area for 2 days because she might need his help. Robert agrees, and Emma gets up and leaves. One day, Officer Gio goes to pick up his daughter Gabby from school, but he does not find her there. Instead, he receives a call from an unknown number telling him that his daughter went home with someone else. Gio immediately becomes worried about his wife and daughter and rushes back home. When he arrives, he is shocked to find Marco and his men holding his wife and daughter. As soon as Marco sees Gio, he attacks him and beats him badly, injuring his head. He tells him to stop the investigation and the searches he is doing against him and his brother. Marco then raises the level of his threats and warns Gio that next time he will kill his daughter. After that, Marco and his gang leave them behind. Later, we learn that Gio goes to Enzo's house so he can treat his injury. Enzo finds out what Marco did to him. Robert sees Gio's injury, so he enters and asks Enzo what happened. Enzo tells him that the person responsible is Marco, Vincent's brother, the leader of a gang called the Camorra. He explains that they are extremely dangerous people and nobody can stop them. The people of the city are kind, but they cannot fight back because even the police are unable to control the gang. At that moment, Robert decides to take justice into his own hands and help the innocent people of the city because he now considers himself one of them. But as usual, Robert first gives his enemy a warning, hoping they might change their ways because Robert's punishment is always brutal. The next night, Gio takes his wife and daughter to a restaurant for dinner. Marco enters the restaurant with his men and sees Gio sitting with his family at a table. Marco walks over, sits next to them, and threatens Gio again, telling him that he must stay away from him and his brother Vincent. Gio remains silent because his wife and daughter are terrified of Marco. Then Marco notices Robert sitting at a table nearby, staring at him angrily. Marco walks over, sits next to Robert, and tells him that he noticed Robert always watches him whenever they meet. He warns him not to be curious and not to get involved in things that do not concern him. Robert tells him that he wants him to stop bullying the people of the city because they are good people. And now Robert considers himself one of them. He gives Marco a chance to fix his mistakes and leave the people alone. But Marco laughs at him and finds it ridiculous because Robert is just one man standing alone against him and his gang. Suddenly, Robert grabs Marco's arm and twists it. Marco starts screaming in pain as Robert nearly breaks it. Marco's men stand up to help him, but Robert warns them that he will break Marco's arm if they do not sit back down. Robert tells Marco to get his gang out of the restaurant. Marco's men leave, and then Robert takes Marco's gun away, forces him out of the restaurant as well, while Officer Gio sits silently, shocked by what he just witnessed. At night, Marco is standing in front of a garage with 2 of his gang members, and he has decided to take revenge on Robert and kill him. Since Robert knows that Marco will never stop what he is doing, he decides to deal with him. Robert has been watching Marco and his gang and already knows where they are, so he goes straight to them. Robert suddenly crashes into 2 of the gang members with his car. Marco pulls out a knife from his pocket and tries to kill Robert, but Robert attacks him, grabs his arm, and breaks it with a powerful hit. Then Robert kills Marco with the knife that was in Marco's own hand. Robert does all of this without leaving any evidence behind. The next morning, the police arrive at the crime scene, and Gio is with them. They find the bodies and examine the area. They discover illegal chemical substances inside the car's trunk, but Gio cannot find any fingerprints or evidence that could reveal who did it. The next day, an explosion happens at the train station, killing many people. The police and American intelligence agent Emma believe that terrorists are responsible, but they do not know that Vincent is the one behind it. Vincent carried out the attack out of anger after his brother Marco was killed, especially because he still does not know who murdered Marco and his men. The next day, Emma goes to the city police chief named Barella and connects this attack to the wine factory incident where they found the bodies and illegal substances. The police chief shows Emma records of imprisoned terrorists, so she asks to interrogate one of them in particular. Barella agrees, and Emma goes to the prison to meet the prisoner. She gets information from him about a large warehouse used for producing illegal substances and laundering money. Immediately, Emma and Frank, along with Italian police forces, raid the warehouse. They kill the criminals inside and discover illegal chemical materials and large amounts of illegal money. They also find out that the warehouse belongs to Vincent, the leader of the Camorra gang. At this moment, Vincent is holding a funeral for his brother Marco at his house. The city police chief, Barella, visits Vincent to offer his condolences and also warn him that an American intelligence agent is investigating him. Barella asks Vincent to slow down his activities for a few days because he is being watched right now. This makes it clear that Barella is a corrupt police officer working for Vincent. Vincent gets angry and tells him that the most important thing is finding out who killed his brother Marco. He orders his men to grab Barella and force his hand onto the table. Vincent then pushes a knife into Barella's hand and pins it to the table. Barella screams in pain, and Vincent's men take him outside, put him in his car, and leave him. The next day, Emma is about to get into her car when she receives a call from Robert warning her not to enter it. Right after that, the car explodes before she gets inside. The force of the explosion throws Emma away and injures her. She is immediately taken to the hospital. That night, Vincent gathers his gang because he wants to find out who killed Marco. They also bring Gio as a hostage. Vincent fires a bullet next to Gio's ear, injuring him, and starts calling out to the people of the city, asking who killed his brother. Suddenly, Robert appears, drops his weapon, and admits that he is the one who killed Marco because he warned him not to hurt the innocent people of the city, but Marco refused to listen. Vincent points his gun at Robert and is about to kill him, but Enzo suddenly appears and shoots Vincent with his rifle. At that moment, everyone starts recording what is happening on their phones. Vincent and his gang become worried and decide to leave. Robert realizes that he has to go to Vincent's house and finish this once and for all. He kills the first guard standing outside the house, then cuts off the electricity and sneaks inside. Robert begins taking down Vincent's men one by one until only one of them remains. He ties the last man with a rope and throws him onto Vincent while he is sleeping from the ceiling because Vincent's bedroom has a glass roof. Vincent wakes up terrified and grabs his weapon. He starts calling for his men, but of course all of them have already been killed. Suddenly, Robert surprises him and attacks him, causing Vincent to fall to the ground. Robert forces Vincent to swallow the illegal substance that he used to produce and tells him that within 6 minutes, his heart will stop because of the overdose. Vincent actually begins fighting for his life and crawls outside the house. Robert follows him until he reaches a fruit and vegetable shop where Vincent dies in front of him. With that, Robert finally eliminates the evil that was threatening the city. The next day, Robert visits Emma in the hospital to check on her. Emma thanks him because he saved her life, and his warning call before the explosion allowed her to survive. Robert has a bag with him containing $366,000. This is the money he took from the cash found in the wine factory at the beginning. He asks Emma that when she returns to America, she gives the money to someone named Dyer because it is the remaining amount from his retirement compensation that he was denied. Emma is surprised because Robert had $11 million in front of him at the wine factory, but he only took $366,000, and now he wants to give it away to Dyer. That means Robert took nothing for himself. Robert leaves and walks away. When Emma gets better, she returns to America and visits Dyer and his wife at their house. She gives them the money. Dyer is surprised and asks who sent it to him, but Emma refuses to reveal Robert's name. Dyer starts crying because he cannot believe that a stranger he does not even know sent him the retirement money that was stolen from him. He truly deserved it and desperately needed it. When Emma returns to work, she finds an envelope from Robert. Inside there is a letter from him saying that her mother is proud of her. Inside the envelope, she also finds the black address book that Robert mentioned when he told her he got her phone number from it. Emma finds many phone numbers inside, including her mother Susan's number and her father Brian's number. At that moment, she realizes that Robert was a close friend of her parents, and that he was also a former American intelligence agent who retired. Meanwhile, Robert continues living peacefully with the kind people of the city, and they all celebrate that the evil threatening their home is finally gone. And that's how our movie ends. If you were in Robert's place, would you have stepped in to help the people of the city even after deciding to live peacefully? Or would you have stayed away from trouble? Write your opinion in the comments.